Hello students and welcome to my channel Edufly JEE-NEET. Today I am going to discuss with you the second part of human physiology. Why I am discussing this part? Because you have your exam on 13th of September and the weightage of from this chapter is very too much, like 45% weightage, like I have told you in the previous class. So today I am going to discuss few more important questions related to human physiology. So done. So let's begin today's session. See, first question is very interesting. Lungs are made up of air-filled sacs. You know, the alveoli. This is known as alveoli. They do not collapse even after forceful expiration. Why? What's the reason? See, whenever there is a forceful expiration in the lungs, some of the air remains. Expiration होने के बाद some air remains in the lungs, and that some air which remains in the lungs, that is known as residual volume. So even after the forceful expiration also lungs do not collapse. Why? Because of residual volume. Residual volume क्या है? Some of the air remains in the lungs after the forceful expiration, but still lungs do not collapse. So the option is residual volume. Very easy question. Next, see, next question. Name the chronic respiratory disorder that is caused mainly by cigarette smoking. Everyone knows cigarette smoking is very bad for health. It causes cancer and so many diseases. It causes, basically it causes cancer. It will destroy your lungs, the alveoli of lungs. So the option will be emphysema. This is the disease which is caused to a person when he or she, anyone who will do cigarette smoking. Basically, what does this do? If a person is inhaling cigarette, the alveoli of the lungs become inflated, means destroyed, and that's the reason a person shouldn't smoke. So very interesting questions from respiratory system, that is from human physiology. So now we'll see next important question. So now let's see a very important question and very interesting question. I hope you'll get to know this answer. Reduction in pH of blood. What happens where there is a pH reduction in blood? So in case in blood, oxygen is the carrier. Oxygen helps in the transport of blood to different parts of the body. This every one of you knows. See, what happens is that when this oxygen will combine with hemoglobin, that is blood, hemoglobin in a red pigment, then it will form oxyhemoglobin. Then when oxygen combines with hemoglobin, it will form oxyhemoglobin. But what happens in this scenario is different. This scenario tells that if there is a reduction in pH, if the pH of oxygen decreases, then this affinity of oxygen and hemoglobin to combine, this will decrease. That means this oxyhemoglobin, it will dissociate into oxygen and hemoglobin, giving more oxygen. And when this concentration of CO2 increases, and this phenomenon is known as Bohr's effect. I hope you all know about Bohr's effect. Very common phenomena. This is about respiratory system. This question is from respiratory system. So according to the question, your answer will be, it will decrease the affinity of hemoglobin and oxygen, because the pH of blood should be maintained in our body, because pH plays a very important role in our body, and that's the reason if there is a reduction of pH, the affinity of oxygen with the hemoglobin will decrease, that is oxyhemoglobin will dissociate into hemoglobin and oxygen. Done. So your option will be second. So we'll see next question. So now let's see next question. Very interesting question. See the question. Lungs do not collapse between breaths, and some air always remains in the lungs which can never be expelled. That air cannot be expelled. And what's the reason behind that? That is, there is a negative intrapleural pressure pulling at the lung walls. Now I'll explain the answer. See, alveoli are the functional unit of lungs. Alveoli, basically alveoli works in case of lungs. Alveoli, everyone have heard about alveoli. So what happened? The outer surface of alveoli has cells, and that is known as DPPC, that is liquid surfactant. liquid surfactant. So what happens is that this liquid surfactant, the alveoli will expand, and due to that expansion there is a negative pressure inside the lungs. So there is negative intrapleural pressure pulling at the lung walls. See, according to my explanation, both A and B are the correct option, but see, in the first option it's given that there is a negative pressure in the lungs, and the second is there is a negative intrapleural pressure pulling at the lung walls. See, everything is happen on the lung walls, it alveoli, lung walls को alveoli कहते हैं ना. So according to the option, the appropriate option stays it option number 2, not the first one. So your option will be, if the question comes in that way, that A, B, option both A and B, then the answer will be C, that is both A and B. But here the options are completely different. The first and the second option is a bit similar, but the second one is the most appropriate form. Done? So very interesting question. We'll see some more important question. So now let's see a very important question from circulatory system. In mammals, which blood vessel would normally carry largest amount of urea? So first you have to know where urea is synthesized. Urea is synthesized in liver. Where is urea synthesized? It's synthesized in liver. So लीवर में क्या होता है, हेपेटिक वेन जो है वो लार्जेस्ट अमाउंट ऑफ यूरिया जो है कैरी करता है, और जो रिनल है ये लोएस्ट अमाउंट, मतलब लेस. तो अकॉर्डिंग टू द सॉल्यूशन योर आंसर इज हेपेटिक वेन. ये क्या करते हैं, लार्जेस्ट अमाउंट ऑफ यूरिया प्रोड्यूस करते हैं. ठीक है, नॉर्मली ये कैरी करते हैं, हेपेटिक और रिनल दो वेन प्रेजेंट होते हैं. ठीक है, जो यूरिया के फंक्शन में हेल्प करते हैं. डन. सो योर ऑप्शन इज बी. नेक्स्ट, सी नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन. Name the blood vessels whose reduction in number can cause clotting disorder. Clotting आप सबको पता है, अगर आपका हाथ कट जाता है तो सडनली क्या होता है, ऐसा तो नहीं होता कि ब्लड गिरते ही रहता है, ब्लड स्टॉप होता है, एंड दैट इज़ नथिंग बट क्लॉटिंग. अचानक से ऐसा कट गया कभी और आप उसको थोड़ा सा ब्लड निकला लेकिन खुद से वो हील कर लेता है. वाई? दैट इज़ नॉन इज क्लॉटिंग, ब्लड क्लॉट हो जाना. और वो क्या होता है कि कौन से हमारे बॉडी में कौन से सेल्स करते हैं, वेदर दे आर आरबीसी और डब्ल्यूबीसी, दे आर डब्ल्यूबीसी का एक सेल्स है, दैट इज न्यूट्रोफिल्स. द ऑप्शन विल बी न्यूट्रोफिल्स. न्यूट्रोफिल्स इज अ टाइप ऑफ डब्ल्यूबीसी. देयर आर 5 टाइप्स ऑफ डब्ल्यूबीसी: लिम्फोसाइट्स, मोनोसाइट्स, एसिनोफिल्स, बेसोफिल्स, न्यूट्रोफिल्स. These are all types of WBCs. But when there is any infections in your body, or if you have any cut in your body, then the neutrophils will rise in the body and that will heal your infection. So the option is neutrophils. Done. So we'll see next important question. So now let's see a very interesting question. Person with blood group AB is considered as universal recipient because he has, what does blood group AB has? It has A and B antigens, but antibodies is absent in this blood group. So option will be A. And in case of O blood group, O blood group is known as universal donor. Done. And they have no antigens. But in case of O blood group, A and B antibodies are present. And in case of this AB blood group, they can receive, their universal recipient मतलब ले सकते हैं blood. That is, they can receive blood from AB plus, AB minus, O plus, O minus, A plus, A minus, B plus, B minus. These are the type of blood groups present in case of any individuals. So AB blood group can receive from all individuals, all blood group. Done. But AB negative is the very rarest blood group. AB negative is very difficult to, if a person meets an accident, then if that person is AB negative, it's very difficult to manage the AB negative blood group. So it's and the chances of that person to die becomes more severe because AB negative blood group is very rare. That is less than 1%. Less than 1% of population has AB negative blood group. Done. So we'll see next question. So now let's see a very interesting question. From excretory system. The part of the nephron that is involved in active reabsorption of sodium. This nephron, what is nephron? Nephron is a structural and functional unit of kidney. It's a microscopic structure, and in that structure these are the parts and which helps in the filtration of, that is filtration होता है किडनी में, क्या होता है filtration होता है ना, जो फ्रेश चीज़ें होती हैं वो रह जाती हैं और जो नहीं चाहिए होता है किडनी एक्सक्रेट कर देता है थ्रू यूरिया. डन. तो see the option is distal convoluted tubule, proximal convoluted tubule, Bowman's capsule and descending lip of Henle's loop. So your option will be proximal convoluted tubule. Here what happens is that 70% of sodium is reabsorbed. 70% sodium is reabsorbed, and this proximal convoluted tubule plays a very important role in case of nephron, and here 70% of sodium is reabsorbed. So your option is B. Now we'll go to next question. Which of the following statement is correct? Then the ascending limb of loop of Henle, this is the structure part of the nephron, is impermeable to water. The descending limb of loop of Henle is impermeable to water. The third is ascending limb of loop of Henle is permeable to water. The fourth is descending limb of loop of Henle is impermeable to electrolytes. So among these you have to say which is the correct one. See, in case of loop of Henle, the ascending lip, that is upper one, they are impermeable to water, and but they are permeable to like ions like K plus, sodium plus, Cl minus. They are permeable to these all ions, that is electrolytes you can say. So your option will be A. But in case of descending loop, the downward, that is permeable to water but that is impermeable to electrolytes. That is very opposite. If you know the ascending limb, you can just say the about the descending limb. Next is, this is also wrong, this is also wrong, and this is also wrong. The descending limb of lumen is impermeable to electrolytes. So if you know about ascending limb of loop of Henle, then you will get to know about descending, because they both are completely opposite to each other. Done. So these two very interesting question. Now we'll see next important question. So now let's see a very interesting question. A person who is on a long hunger strike, what happens if he is surviving only on water? Then what will he have? So this is the option: more sodium in his urine, less amino acids in his urine, more glucose in his blood, or less urea in his blood. सबसे पहले क्या होता है? If a person is not consuming any food, only if he is consuming only water, that is, he is not consuming any organic compound. Whatever we are taking inside is everything is organic. So urea is nothing but the metabolic wastage of organic. That is, urea is an organic compound, and that is nothing but the excretory waste that happens from where? Metabolic product. That is a metabolic product. So that person will have less urea in his blood. Why? Because he is not consuming any food, and from the food itself the urea is produced, because that is organic compound, and urea is nothing but the excretory waste of any organic compound. So option is D, less urea in his blood. Very good question. Next, see, receptor sites for neurotransmitter are present on neurons के बारे में. Very important question. See, I'll show you the diagram, very basic diagram I'll show you. So this is it. This is axon, and this is receptor. There is more one receptor. This is presynaptic membrane, and the second one is this is the pre. The above one is pre. Two membranes are there, and this is postsynaptic membrane. I am not showing other parts. I am just explaining you where the receptors for neurotransmitters are present, and here the receptors are present. These are the receptors. So your answer will be postsynaptic membrane. D is the answer. Very easy. Just by the diagram you can say that receptors are present on postsynaptic membrane. Done. Very interesting question. Now we'll see some more important question. So now let's see next question. It's given to choose the correct statement. The fourth statement is given. You have to tell which statement is the right. Nociceptors respond to changes in pressure? No. Nociceptors are sensory nerve cells that will respond to any chemical stimuli. Done. So nociceptors are nothing but they'll help the sensory nerve cells to respond to any chemical stimuli or mechanical stimuli. So this option is wrong. Let's go to the second one. Mesone's corpus are thermoreceptors? No, they are tactile receptors. They are tactile receptors. This is also wrong. This is wrong. Now let's go to the third one. Photoreceptors in human eye are depolarized during darkness and become hyperpolarized in response to light due to presence of light. There is opsin, you know, rhodopsin. Rhodopsin. So in presence of light, rhodopsin becomes hyperpolarized, and in darkness, rhodopsin is synthesized during the dark vision. So the option is C. The last option is receptors do not produce graded potential. No, they produce graded potentials. Positive and negative potentials are produced. So this is also wrong. So the option is C. Done. So we'll see some more important question. So now let's see a very interesting question. Says that photosensitive compound in human eye is made of. Option C, opsin and retinol, transduction retinine and guanose and retinol. ये तो एकदम ही नहीं है, पहले ही आउट है ऑप्शन से. Opsin and retinol is nothing but aldehyde form of retinol. रेटिनॉल का एल्डिहाइड फॉर्म को रेटिनल कहते हैं. दिस टू कंपाउंड इज प्रेजेंट इन ह्यूमन आई, दैट इज इन रोडोप्सिन. रोडोप्सिन में प्रेजेंट होता है ये रोडोप्सिन. डन. नाउ लेट्स सी नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन. माइलिन शीथ इज प्रोड्यूस्ड बाय. माइलिन शीथ क्या होता है? इट्स एन एक्सटेंडेड स्ट्रक्चर्ड प्लाज्मा मेम्ब्रेन दैट इज रैप्ड अराउंड द एक्सॉन. कहाँ रैप्ड होता है? एक्सॉन. Wrapped around the axon is nothing but myelin sheath, and that is produced by Schwann cells of peripheral nervous system. This found in peripheral nervous system, and oligodendrocytes from CNS, that is central nervous system. CNS is nothing but central nervous system. So these two nerve cells originate from myelin sheath is produced by these two nerves, that is Schwann cells and oligodendrocytes. Done. We'll see some more questions. So now let's see next question. It's the pivot joint between atlas and axis is a type of. You have to say which type of joint is present between atlas and axis. The joint. This is the anterior part of the head. This atlas and axis is made, and that joint is known as synovial joint. That is considerable movement can be done. Head, that is joint, synovial joint. Next is name the ion responsible for unmasking of active sites for myosin for cross bridge active during muscle contraction. And during muscle contraction, calcium ions plays a very important role. It will bind with the TPC for troponin. What bind? Calcium ion will bind with the TPC region for troponin, and that will help in the muscle contraction. So calcium. Done. These two questions, very interesting question. Now we'll see few more questions. So now let's see very interesting question. GnRH, this is a hormone, hypothalamic hormone needed in reproduction, very important, and this will act on which gland? See, anterior pituitary gland, and stimulates secretion of LH and oxytocin. Second is also anterior pituitary gland and secretion of LH and FSH, follicle stimulating hormone. PPG, posterior pituitary gland, I have written in short form PPG, and stimulates secretion of oxytocin and FSH. Fourth is PPG and stimulates the secretion of LH and relaxin. The option will be anterior pituitary gland and stimulate the secretion of LH and FSH. Gonadotrophin. This full form is gonadotrophin releasing hormone. Gonadotrophin releasing hormone has very important function, and that will act on pituitary gland, anterior pituitary, not the posterior. It will act on anterior pituitary gland and helps in the secretion of LH and FSH, that is luteinizing hormone and follicle stimulating hormone. So the option is B. Now let's go to next question. Which one of the following hormones is not involved in sugar metabolism? See, सबसे पहले sugar का नाम आता है insulin and glucagon. These two play a very important role in sugar metabolism, and also cortisol also plays an important role in sugar metabolism. Which doesn't play is aldosterone. Aldosterone is a steroid hormone, and that is basically produced from the adrenal gland, outer cortex of the adrenal gland. कहाँ से produce होता है aldosterone? Outer cortex of adrenal gland. So basically aldosterone does not help in the sugar metabolism. It's a steroid hormone. Done. So we'll see some more important question. So now let's see very interesting question. Hypersecretion of growth hormone in adult does not cause further increase in height. See what happens if a person has lead to his adulthood. अगर adulthood पहुँच गया वो तो क्या होता है? The growth hormone doesn't increase his size. तो क्वेश्चन यही बोल रहा है कि it does not cause further increase in size in height of that individual, not size, height. What's the main reason is that the epiphyseal plates close after adolescence, and this epiphyseal plate is very important for the formation of bone formation. And what happens after adolescence, this epiphyseal plates will close, and due to that that person doesn't increase in height after in the adult stage, it is attending the adolescence period. Next question is that Sertoli cells are regulated by pituitary hormone. Sertoli cells क्या होता है? It's lined by the seminiferous tubules of testes, Sertoli cells, and that is produced by pituitary hormone FSH. FSH play a very important role. It is follicle stimulating hormone. So these questions are done. I have discussed many questions today from these chapters, that is human physiology. And if you have any doubts, you can just WhatsApp me, you can email me, or you can comment me in the comment section. Your exam is on 13th, so prepare well. So thank you so much.